going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Startup Storybook Podcast. I'm Daniel Pierce, here with my friends Turner Ray and Wes Orr. And as you noticed, we're not in person right now. We're on virtual because it's summertime, but we're still doing it, still doing the podcast. Today, we have some awesome guests, Noah Wooten and Logan McSorley, and they have their business called Kefia Lemonade, which we're all super excited to hear about. Let's see, Logan and Noah, could you just tell us a little bit about your guys' business, a little bit about yourself, what you're doing in college, things like that?
So I'll go first. Uh,
For sure.
so uh, my name's Noah. Obviously, as y'all saw, I'm the COO of Kefia Lemonade. Was that's a topic for another time, actually. Just kind of the mispronunciation of our name, just because it's Greek.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I get a lot of people that like walk up to me and they're just like Kefia, and then they'll just ask me questions about it. Which honestly, it's a good startup because it gets people talking about your business, but. Uh, Yeah, anything background about Kefia, that's what I do. All the financials, operations stuff behind it, that's kind of what I do. School-wise, I go to ACU for animal science. I'm a pre-vet major with an entrepreneurship minor. That's how I got here in the first place, but long ride. Gonna be a junior now, so that's a little bit about me.
And then I'm Logan. I'm the CEO. I'm from Austin, Texas. I am a psych major with a child and fam minor and a business minor. I'll be graduating next year. Um, and I do all of the creative stuff. So I make our product, I get us all of our events, I go to all of the events, set up, I do our social media. So I do all of the not fancy business things because I don't really know about them. So thankfully, Noah comes in and helps with all of that jazz.
Absolutely. So it sounds like, obviously we've got, uh, our first guest with partners. So you'll have our CEO and COO kind of describe roles. Do you want to get into how you all kind of started and formed that partnership?
So we started as, what do you call like the entrepreneurship 101 class?
I think it's just intro to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think it's just intro.
Essentially,
Yeah.
yeah,
It was
essentially
it was
just
120 was the intro to entrepreneurship.
120.
Yeah.
Oh, Venture Out. Sorry, that's what I was thinking
Oh,
of.
there you go.
yeah.
We started as Venture Out together. I used to be a barista back home, and so I kind of just ran with the like energized lemonade idea that we had done at my coffee shop. And Noah was on my team as the COO, basically doing everything he's doing now. He did the operations for us. And we had two athletes on our team, and that was really tough because they both had spring um like seasons. And so out of the five of us, two of them weren't available. So it really just left three of us to do the work of five people, which was really hard. And we all did a great job though. And then once Venture Out ended, Noah approached me and he was like, "Hey, there's this competition called Springboard. Who knows if we'll even make it? We can just pitch and see what happens." And so we reached out to our third member, and she's awesome, but she was like, "Yeah, I just have just such a big course load." So she wasn't available. And so we did the pitch, just us two, and then we got into it. And yeah, that's kind of how we started.
Awesome. And so for kind of everyone listening, obviously we know what Cafe Lemonade is, but what do y'all do?
So Kefia, actually, a funny story for the name of Kefia is we were originally called Simpler Lemonade because I couldn't think of a good name for a drink company. I was thinking of successful drink companies like Sonic, Starbucks. There's Simply Lemonade. So I just kind of was like, oh, let's just be Simpler Lemonade. And for Venture Out, it was fine to keep the name, but once we got into becoming an LLC, we kind of figured it's a little too similar. So we started looking up like random words that weren't already taken by an LLC. And then we figured, well, there's a lot of words in English that are already taken, so we switched to Greek. Kefia means the spirit of joy. And so we figured that went pretty well with the aesthetic we already had. And that's how we're Kefia. I don't remember the question. Sorry.
Well, and obviously you also have lemonade, but it's a little bit different, right?
Yeah, it's we have organic homemade lemonade. Originally we kept the venture out idea and we still had like energized lemonade and we had gut healthy lemonade. But as we were selling those, we found that people just really love regular lemonade. So we ran with that. All of our syrups are completely homemade. So I make them just using lemon juice, water, sugar, and frozen fruit. And then that's really all there is to it.
All right. Well, I'm curious how you guys deliver your lemonade.
Yeah, I would say that's like a thing that's kind of like that uniqueness of us is that we kind of only show up at pop-ups or
Hmm.
random events every now and then. So if you really want Kefir Lemonade, you actually have to go to these events to get our brand and our company.
And you mentioned earlier uh, that you only are gonna. Are you hosting these events or are you attending other people's events?
Yeah, right now we've just kind of been attending events. I know Logan and I have in the works to try and create our own event, but it's kind of a hassle creating your own events because you got all these vendors you have to invite, you have to find a place to all gather up, right? Who wants to host this event? We're just two college kids, we don't have this amazing venue to casually open up. So, but we've just been joining other events so far.
How long ago did you guys say? I think you mentioned it, but how long ago did you start Kefia?
I would say we kind of started right about whenever Springboard happened. So technically, if you want to start it from the venture out date, we started last spring. So not this last one that we just did, but the one before it. So we're a little over a year now of actual company time.
Who have your guys' customers mainly been? Has it mainly been other students at ACU, or have you tried to sort of branch out into sort of other demographics?
Yeah, it Abilene's really been welcoming to us, which is like an amazing thing. So we're kind of getting a little bit recognized here in ACU. So ACU people really love our company. I have people like asking me in my classes, "Hey, do you have any on you?" I was like, "No, no, but come back next class. I got you." Uh, but we do, I would like to say we cater to all of Abilene, right? Because we do a lot of contact events. Some people DM us on and that are an Abilene native. And so the whole city of Abilene is served by Kefia, which is really cool to say.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, and one thing, like you were sharing earlier, since y'all only do event-based, um, like that's y'all's only channel, um, y'all are a little different, almost like Espresso, which is a coffee place in Abilene that they have just a trailer that goes around and they only pop up every once in a while. And so, I mean, that's a unique and interesting business model because you're not always readily available. Like even in, like you said, no, in your classes. And so I think just entrepreneurship wise, that's a really y'all are a great example of taking a very simple uh, business model, right? Lots of people have made lemonade before, but kind of doing it in a different, unique way. That I think is really cool. So props to y'all guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, one thing that's come to mind for me is like, well, when you have a lemonade company, I'm sure a lot of people think that, oh, it's just a lemonade company, anyone can do that. What's one thing that you found challenging that you didn't expect going into it?
I would say lemonade, I feel like people think is pretty easy to make, and it is. But it also takes me so long to make it because once you make like the syrups, you have to wait for them to cool down and then you can make the actual lemonade. So it's really like a two-step process. Um, and I would say the jars that we sell them in are really, they're either really small or they're like pretty average size for a drink. And so we order them in packs of 40, the little ones. And so when I make them, I'm not making like 20, I'm making like 80 at one time, plus the larger jars. So I typically have to dedicate like 5 hours to make the syrups, the lemonade, pour them in the jars, and make sure that they're good and everything. But after those 5 hours, we should be good for about like a week or so until I have to do it again.
Well, and one thing came to mind just then. You said 5 hours worth of work gets you about a week or so. How do y'all, obviously, since it's food, it can spoil. How do y'all manage that? And like, if you don't sell out at an event, what do you do?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we kind of hit home early on was just the kind of materials that we use when we do make it. So Logan, she always keeps her stuff in glass containers, so that way it's like the maximum concealant that you can use. And then we obviously we put them in the freezer. So if we have excess syrups that we use, or we didn't use in that batch, we get to just keep it in the freezer for technically a few months. So we do have that kind of storage effect that we can do. And then just the shelf life in general of our bottles, I would say it's just a few days out. So we always try to really hit home on these events, and the supply and demand so far, it's been really good. We haven't had to try that much trial and error to see how much do we bring to an event. The worst we've done is just sold out too fast, and that's like a good problem to have. So
So I'm curious, how many bottles do y'all bring and how quick do you sell?
yeah, I would say it's different for every event, right? Each event has its own size, but we like to just predict about how much people we're going to see for that event. I think we've gotten pretty good at predicting recently. So we typically bring around 20, 30 small ones. The thing we have been struggling is with the larges. They're so hit and miss with the community right now. That's something that's a good trial and error, though. Sometimes people really, really want those larger sized bottles, and so we sell out within like 10 minutes. Or sometimes they just sit in the freezer and then they're just taking up space. Um, but yeah, I would say typically like 20 to 30 smalls and then about 5 to 10 large. But
Yeah, I think it depends on the event. Like when we did bigger events, we definitely brought over 100. And normally our events are like weekends, so we would do an event Friday and then Saturday. And most of the time, we would sell way more on the first event, and we'd only have like 20 to 30 left for our second event. Which a lot of the events that Noah went to, he was like awesome about working out his schedule with that. Um, I was like, hey, I gave you like literally no products. I'm really sorry. We ran out way quicker than I thought we were going to at our other event, and I don't really have the time to make you new ones, or we just didn't have the jars. So I think for the bigger ones, probably like around 100, like including both the small and the larger. But a lot of events we were just left with only having like 20 to 30.
That makes me want to ask, where do you guys source your jars? How do you get those?
yeah, so it took a decent amount of time finding it. Not really. It took me like a few days or so. But we just sourced them through Amazon. So they're technically a third-party vendor, but they have the exact bottle that I was looking for. I was like, yeah, why not? Quick delivery fee, quick timing. It was good.
Are y'all considering doing custom branding on the jars in the future?
I
Yeah,
have this dream to okay, we have like glass jars and then we have a cork lid that's circular and our logo
mhm.
is a circle. And I really want to put a stamp, like a K stamp on our corks, because I think that would be awesome. Um, and I haven't done that yet. I have a graphic design friend who was going to do that, and then he got this really awesome job over the summer, so I'm gonna figure it out, hopefully. But yeah, that's we would love to do that. And our jars come with like individually written hand notes on them. And so if we get an order, like we have a baby shower coming up in June, and if you want, we can write something special or customized on those.
On the lid idea, uh, have you thought about getting like just a metal K, like just a stamp, and then when you heat it up, you can kind of like burn it into the cork?
That's really smart. I was
It's
just
a cool
thinking
idea.
about like an eraser, and you like put a K and then I don't know. But that's a great idea. I have not thought of that.
It might work. It'll take some time, obviously, if you have to do a ton of them, but just an idea.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Branding's always a cool look.
I'm curious. So, on a more macro scale and sort of the healthy lemonade industry, are there any sort of like trends or anything that normal people may not know about that you guys know about now that you guys are sort of in the sort of lemonade industry? Are there any big trends, things that people should look out for, things that might get popular in the next couple years or something?
Question. On the top of my head, the biggest thing that I always think about is always that the caffeine, right? We're in like a energy drink epidemic, obviously, and so people want everything energized. That's why we tried to do that energized lemonade. And occasionally I'll still get that question of like, hey, do y'all have energized this or energized that? I'm like, everyone wants energy. It's very interesting to think about that. It's like you can put energy in anything. Uh, I wouldn't have never thought energized lemonade at first, but we tried it. Obviously, it was good, and then people want it now. That's definitely a big one in my head.
And I think with the rising like Olipop, kombucha, I think organic is very in right now, especially like zero added sugar drinks are very much in right now. I think gut healthy, and we're kind of coming into this new era of you can see younger parents being very selective about what their kids are eating and making sure we have whole foods. And there's like this new health era coming back with this generation. And so I think that that's kind of what we're playing into right now because we've had a lot of moms and little kids, and the moms love the fact that they can give their child this drink that isn't gonna, make them crash out later or go super hyper. And it's a drink that both the parents can enjoy as well.
Obviously, you're still in college. Logan, you've got 1 year. No, you've got two. What are y'all? Do y'all have plans to like scale this to be something as big as Simple Lemonade, or I mean, what do y'all want to do?
Is there a dream?
I feel like there's always a dream, right? Go big or go home. But honestly, it's like Logan and I are such good partners, but we're just so busy. Uh, we had this discussion in class, and then Dr. Linton, he was just like, "Y'all don't want to make casual 70K every year? It's like, is this a side hustle or is this like your job?" And it's very hard for me to look at it as not a side hustle, right? Because the aspirations of being a vet has been there my whole life. Not that I don't enjoy Kefia. I love Kefia. I love everything I do here. It's just, everything we do, I love to put the work into it. Uh, but to be as big as them, that's it's a lot of work. And I only have one body, right? Um, but to see it in a store, I think that would be like an awesome achievement to just casually go up to a store and just pick out your own drink from your local HEB or something like that. Who doesn't want that? I think that would be awesome.
different dream, or is it still kind of seen as a side hustle?
Different dream.
That's funny. I think I completely agree with what Noah said. I think it's neat how both of us had different dreams and then we met and we kind of got to have this like little dream. And yeah, we've talked about having our drinks at HEB because Noah works there, and I do think that would be like so awesome. Even if it wasn't HEB and it was just something smaller, a smaller store, I do think that would be like crazy. I don't think Logan a year ago would have believed that her lemonade took off and is people can buy it now. But yeah, I think the store would be awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because obviously Noah, you're trying to be the vet, and Logan has your own things, and it is very cool how like this one little thing in the middle is what y'all kind of work together, and it shows that being a team, you need different people to kind of work together. And also, your business doesn't have to be this huge thing that you're going to grow to millions of dollars and hundreds of employees. Like, it can be this side hustle that gets you through college or makes you a little bonus 70K a year, like Jim was saying. Um, so yeah, I think that's great.
It's also a creative outlet too,
Oh, absolutely.
being able to, yeah, if you love design, it gives you that design element. If you like sort of the back end operations, inventory side of things, it lets you sort of practice that. And it's all, no work is wasted work. All these skills are valuable. And so even if you're doing it on the side, no matter if you're, a vet or I don't know, what do you want to do in the future, Logan?
I'd like to get my PhD so I can do research.
Okay. It doesn't matter if you're working in higher ed, have your PhD, working with animals, it doesn't matter. All these skills transfer into real life, which I think is super cool. And yeah, none of these experiences are wasted. So that's super exciting, and it's great to hear about that.
So I'm curious. You touched on it a little bit earlier. Uh, You're in college right now, and balancing the time between studying for exams and working on Kefia has been a little bit of a struggle. Um, I guess first off, what do y'all do to help that balance? And second, what advice do you have for other college students who either want to start something but are unsure if they can commit the time to it, or they already have a business and are struggling with their time management?
Biggest thing I could say, definitely as like a starter, is just communicate your feelings, right? Uh, because when Logan and I were starting this out, uh, it was like a big risk because we did this event together in the spring for Venture Out, and it's like, okay, we're kind of just like I'm gonna be committing a lot of time with people that like I don't really know all that well. We're not best chums or anything. And so it's like, can I do this? And it's like, I have to be a 4.0 student. That's the life of a vet. And so it's like, how can I manage all of this? But I think a thing that I've really been hounding on myself for is just to communicate and just be completely honest with yourself and with your partners too. Because like if you're trying to do something, you have to do it to your most ability, right? I don't ever want to do something like half-effortly because that just kind of it's not how you should live life, I think. So always just commit what you can, and obviously if you don't like it, then you can quit, right? You can stop, but you never know until you try. So definitely do a test run, see if you like it. Luckily, I actually loved doing this. I think Venture Out was kind of like my baby test run of like, can I actually run a business? Like, can I feasibly do this? And that's what I really liked about it. Yeah, try, just try.
Yeah, I would say if someone is thinking about doing a business, they probably have an idea they're pretty passionate about. And I like to say that people make time for what's important to them. And if this is important to you, you're gonna make time for it. I know that in my experience, my grades did drop a little bit while we were in the month of April because Kefia had like 3 events every week and it was just insane. And I'm taking 18 hours every semester, so I was doing that and Kefia, and it was just a lot. And you can like feel yourself getting stressed in the moment, and if you have really great friends, they'll probably tell you that you're pretty stressed as well. Um, so I think a good way of balancing that would just be having really great community around you. I can't imagine doing Kefia without having a business partner. Like, I think everyone in Springboard except us was doing it by themselves, and I have so much respect because I could not have done that at all. And so I think having that community really helps balance it out, and having someone be like, hey, you're not gonna work tonight, you're gonna watch this movie, and it's gonna be really bad, but that's okay because we're gonna laugh a lot. Um, is a really good way of balancing it because when you are passionate, you want to keep pouring into it. When you're successful, it feels great and you want to keep chasing that success. Um, but there is a balance with school and with social life and all of that. And I think what Noah said, it takes trial and error to find that. But I think if you're thinking about running it, go for it because if it's something you love, you're probably gonna want to do it all the time.
Almost like y'all are saying Nike's slogan, just do it, right? I think that's great advice. I mean, like Logan said, if you're passionate about something, you'll never work a day in your life if you're enjoying it. So, I mean, obviously there will be things that are tough and you don't enjoy, but if it's something you're passionate about, I totally agree. Just do it.
Yeah. I mean, the money always helps, right?
Oh,
He's,
of course.
that's a secondary thought.
Well, and that's actually a topic we've talked about because you can get into business, and if you have a poor product or poor business model, you won't be making money. And some people maybe could see that as, oh, well, why do you want to make money from it? You're supposed to be providing a service. But in the end, we're in business to enjoy ourselves, work for ourselves, and of course, make money, right? That's a totally normal thing. So yeah, it's a great, definitely an incentive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've kind of gone through this a little bit already, but um, when you've got so many different things competing for your attention and your time, it's probably easy to lose motivation to do the business things. And so I guess a question to you is, well, what is the most motivating factor about the business that keeps you coming back to it and wanting to do it? Let's say aside from the money.
That was an easy answer then. No, I'm kidding. Uh, honestly, uh, I've only done a few events, right? Logan does most of the events, but the events I do go to, just kind of the self-gratification that you get from it. Like the customers that we serve, we have this motto of customer service, right? Putting the customer first. And it really has paid off for me, honestly. People compliment our bottles, compliment our company. Uh, I really haven't had a complaint about our flavor, which, thank God, we didn't have to trial and error that much about it. But just hearing people just say it tastes good. People have smiles on their faces when they walk up to us. When they buy it, they buy it with such pride and joy about it. It just feels good, right? It's very wholesome running this business. That's what I love about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Turner and I tried some of your free samples. They were good. I tried the strawberry, was it? Strawberry something, maybe?
yeah.
Something. I have a
Hmm.
question. So back on the topic of co-founders, Logan, you were talking about sort of all the benefits of having someone to help you. And so I'm curious about sort of if you guys have experienced any of the downsides, if you guys have had any communication issues, any sort of like conflicts or challenges where you guys kind of butt heads a little bit. I don't know if that's happened yet, if it's too early for that. I'm curious.
That's a great question. And that's really funny because Noah and I just talked about this like I think like 2 hours before our springboard pitch. And I think the only like really like butting heads moment has just been I like to do things like I like to take on more than I can take on, and I don't really like asking for help. I'm not that good at it. We don't do it in my family, and so this business really taught me that it's okay to ask for help. And so I would get really overwhelmed, and I'd have to be like, Noah, I cannot do this event in 2 days, and I know it's so short notice, but can you please do it because I just like am going crazy. I've been doing events all week. I'm burnt out and I need help. Um, and thankfully, Noah was always there, or he would move his work schedule around, which was so inconvenient. But something that Noah said when we would, I like that one time we butted heads, was that we're business partners and we're gonna butt heads, and that's part of being in business together, which made me feel really, calmer about it because he's right. People aren't gonna always 100% agree, and that's okay because we're able to just talk through it. And I can confidently say over the summer, I'm going to be doing less events, and Noah's going to be doing more of them. And I'll probably just make a lot of the lemonade, and we'll be better about splitting the hours. But yeah, that was a really great question.
Yeah, I think like not to just copy and paste what Will Tippin ever said, but if you ever take Will Tippin's class,
Yes,
he
sir.
always says that's like, business partners, it's like a marriage. And that's like
Yeah.
absolutely true. You're gonna have these bad days and you're gonna have great days, and you have to take them both with a grain of salt, right? It's that part about being a business partner. You don't really think it's true until it actually happens. So it's like, wow, this is actually happening. It's like Will was right. Everything he said was right. And so it's always just something to think about, right? You have to care about what your business partner is thinking. You have to understand how they think and your perspective, right? You don't ever want to fight, but you're going to. And it's just natural. So thankfully nothing bad has happened. So
Well, I think what you just said there is great because you learned this in class, right? Will Tippin is one of the ACU's entrepreneurship professors, and so you're learning this in class, but y'all are getting the real world, try it out, messy, hard version of that, right? Um, One thing we've asked a couple of our guests is uh, how much have you learned in school versus in just running the business? And I mean, which one is more valuable? Or do you see value in both? What do y'all think?
yeah, to me, I feel like entrepreneurship, it's so hard because it's like a lot of people have this mindset that entrepreneurship, it's mainly just about you have to get the physical experience to understand entrepreneurship. And it's like that does help, but really taking these classes here at ACU, it really just anytime it would actually happen in real life, I'd be like, oh, this professor said that, or hey, this professor taught me this already. I was like, no, I'm actually encountering it. And so it definitely makes me feel a lot more prepared and just that I'm ready to take on these things and like, this is actual real life. The things they talk about, they actually happen. I don't know. It's hard to separate the what you learn in education and then doing it real life experience. It feels like it's different, but it's not. It's like two in the same, which that's what I love about it.
I think I'm like the opposite, only because only
That's
because
totally fine. That's totally fine.
I never took the classes. I did Girl Scouts growing up, and as you know, Girl Scouts sell Girl Scout cookies, and you're looking at the top seller in like the Austin area for like 5 years running. And I I didn't know that it was called entrepreneurship. People would just say, "Oh, you're really good at selling cookies." Um, but I would go with my mom like every weekend, and there's only about like a month that you have to sell Girl Scout cookies, if you didn't know that. And so one year I sold 3,599 boxes of cookies. And I was out every weekend with my mom, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Thank goodness for her patience with me. But we were out selling, and I had no education about real business or skills. I only had learning from people who would come up to me, people who wouldn't come up to me, learning that it never hurts to just ask someone. Sometimes asking makes all the difference, because if you're a Girl Scout and this person's walking out of a store, you're like, oh, they don't look like they want any. They didn't make eye contact with me. But if you ask them, they'll turn around and be like, yes, I was waiting for you to ask me because, like, I didn't want to go up, and like voluntarily get cookies. But if you ask me, I'll get cookies. And so I had so much experience, and then I brought that experience into this, and I think it prepared me so well to do all of the pop-up events that I've done. I've only taken one class, technically two at the end of this semester. Um, took the entrepreneurship, which was like 1.5 hours, and then the business one that went with it. So technically 3 hours. And then the one we took for Springboard, that I was so lost in the sauce because I hadn't taken any of the prerequisite classes. Um, but yeah.
Well, that's great. And I think what I'm hearing both of y'all saying, Logan, you actually weren't too different from Noah. Just I guess Noah's had more of the technical classes and everything, but both are important, I think. Obviously, Logan, you've had a lot of the in-person selling thousands of boxes of Girl Scout cookies. Um, and I like what Noah said about how the classes have actually kind of like blended in and they're almost part of the actual experience. And so you can absolutely go learn. And obviously, we know all of the stories of super successful people who dropped out of college. Um, but there's a reason that college exists, right? And so I think it's testament to obviously the power of entrepreneurship, but also the power of education too.
And Logan, back on the point about asking, that reminded me of one of my favorite books recently that I read. It's called $1 Million Weekend by Noah Kagan. It's a great book. I recommend it. And he writes about the importance of developing your ask muscle, he calls it, which is literally what you were talking about. Basically, the whole point is that, if you want money for your business, you have to ask for it. If you want support or mentorship, you have to ask for it. If you want customers, you have to ask for it, right? And so that's a really, really great point that you mentioned earlier. And it can help you with sales, with customer retention, things like that. So that's a really good point.
And so I guess maybe transitioning here, we go to Abilene Christian University. So there's a little bit of faith just in our education. So I'm curious, has faith played any role in Kefia and how have y'all have run it?
Yeah, I would like to think that it's kind of a meditation piece, and it's kind of like a juxtaposition there because it's like your business is so stressful a lot, but also at times it really helps me get to be with myself, right? The few times I was doing my own event, I'm just by myself. And then when I'm just waiting for customers, I'm always just in my own thought process, and it's really peaceful to just kind of think about and reflect about just my religion, my beliefs, and just how it helps perpetuate me and get me to be a better person of myself and kind of it gives me that confidence to be like that salesman. I don't know if I'll ever be like the 3,500 cookie salesman like Logan is, but it really helps me get out of my shell. I feel like I'm like pretty quiet. I'm really conservative. I just kind of don't talk, but I'm to myself. And so whenever I'm just thinking about my religion and just that peace that it brings me, it helps me just kind of drop all my fear and anxiety away and just be more of a confident person. And I think that's great. We should always be confident to be a servant leader. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, before we had the pitch for Springboard back in November or December, I told Noah I was gonna need some time to think about it because I knew how big of a commitment it was gonna be. I mean, venture out was just a lot. And so if we actually made it to the finals phase, or I don't know what it's called, but yeah, if we made it, then I knew it was gonna be such a bigger commitment. And I prayed a lot about it. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to do this, you know, but then I kept hearing this voice to be like, well, it doesn't hurt. Just like do the pitch, record like a 3 minute, I don't know how long the pitch was, record the pitch and then just let it go. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to be anxious about it. It's not in my hands, it's in God's. And something that my friends and I said last semester of freshman year was that we wanted to be more involved. I think freshman year we went through that phase of saying yes to everything. And then the spring semester we learned how to say no. And we didn't quite find the balance. And so the end of last year, I was like, man, I wish I'd been more involved this semester. I feel like I love my people. I'm an extrovert. And so I kind of miss being around all of that. And I think looking back at all of the people that Kefi has gotten to meet, like all of the small business owners in Abilene, it's like incredible getting to not only like talk to them, but be friends with them and know them on a first name basis. And when I go visit them at the farmers market or when I walk into 7-in-1, like Arlene, the business owner, like we like hug and I feel so famous because this super cool person who owns their like real legitimate business knows me and cares about me. And I don't think any of that could have been done without God making us what we've become. And yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, business is, we were just mentioning earlier, it's definitely uh, part of your entire life, and that definitely includes religion. Um, I liked what y'all said in there about kind of how your business is a good, it gives you time to kind of sit back and think about things from a different perspective, right? In school, we're always studying or that type of thing. And this is obviously the real world application, but you're meeting other people and having to change the way that you interact with others. And I think that's a great point of growth for obviously personally, like we've talked about, but spiritually as well.
Mhm. Yeah, no, you were talking about how you had to let go of control and say this is in God's hands now. And so, I mean, I know I've had that process a number of times. And so I guess if there's anything more about that that you have about letting go of control, I'd love to hear about it. If there's anything else. Have you had a specific moment where where you planned out something and you wanted it to go exactly one way and then it went something totally different?
Um, I think Um, I love planning. I'm a type A, like down to it. I'm a Google Calendar as soon as someone mentions it. And I think that God likes to teach me that that's not always the best way. I can't tell you how many pop-up events we had that it just took me forever to get set up or something would go wrong and I wasn't even at the event yet. And in my mind I'd be thinking, "Oh, I should have thought of this, I should have thought of that," or something like that, or I'm gonna be late, everything's going wrong. And then I'll be like, take a deep breath and be like, okay, what's actually going on here, like I wanted it to go this way and these were my expectations and this happened and those expectations aren't getting met and that's okay because my expectations don't really matter. And most of the time it's God telling me to slow down and it's okay if things go wrong a little bit. We had this one event at the Soda District, and it was so windy, but we had just bought our first tent, and it was really exciting. And I didn't know how to put up a tent, but I learned that day. And I was so stubborn because the wind kept knocking it down. And I said, no, we're using it. We bought it. We're gonna use it. It's happening. And I was like, look at all the other small businesses with tents. And they were taking their tents down at the time. So it wasn't a great time to say that. Um, and I had friends there to help, and they were like, Logan, you don't have to use the tent. Everyone's taking their tents down. You don't need to use it. I was like, no, we're doing it. We're gonna look so official and so fly, and it's gonna be great. Anyways, I think like an hour and a half later of it just being too windy, we took it down, and I was feeling so defeated. But I also just felt so relieved I didn't have to worry about the tent blowing over anymore. I could just let it go. Um, so I think to circle back, sorry, sometimes it's helpful for me to write down everything I'm stressed about and then I crumple it up and I throw it away. And sometimes doing that as a psych major, sometimes doing that physical act of doing that helps your body and your mind release that. Or sometimes I'll write a really angry email to someone and I'll send it to myself. I don't send it to them. But just pressing send can just help you get that out like you're doing it, but really there's no harm. As long as you check who you're sending it to before you send it. Um, but I think, yeah, it just takes finding time to know like how you can let go of things because it's really, really hard. But if you think about it, sometimes like you can't tell how hard I'm squeezing, but it hurts you to hold on. And so it's just easier to let go.
I love that. That's great.
There was a little nugget in both of y'all were talking. So give me just a second. It's gonna come. But Daniel and Wes, y'all got something.
Are
Yeah,
there any other stress management strategies you'd recommend?
I feel like for me, I'm big into nature, so that's like my favorite thing to do. Uh, I always incorporate meditation or a walk. That's the thing I'm doing right now in my main master. We wake up and the first thing you do is meditate. It's really hard to do that, right? Because when you wake up, you have all of these things in your head. But that's part of the problem is that you have too much going on in your life. And so you really just need to take that time out to just focus and just concentrate and not let your mind roam. I think that's a big issue that we kind of casually let ourselves do a lot is like let the mind roam. And you just need to kind of just lock in on your thoughts, lock in on what you're trying to do. And nature is like a great place to do that because there's less distractions. It's calming. Scientifically, it's proven that people feel a lot better and calmer in nature. And so just take a walk, take a scenic walk to it. Uh, you can have a prayer into it as well. Incorporate all of that. Just close your eyes. Breathing techniques always calm me down. It's a good distraction. It takes your mind off stuff to focus on that little minute detail.
Yeah, I love this question, and I'm gonna try and make it quick because psych people could talk about this for like probably hours. Um, but yeah, when you're stressed, you have this hormone called cortisol, and it just goes so through the roof. And sometimes that's really great because sometimes your body needs to be put through moments of stress, like fight or flight. But sometimes it's not always great to be in flight mode when you don't have to be. And so I agree so much with what Noah said about nature and especially breathing. And this is my little nugget really quick. But most people think when you take a deep breath, it's like from your lungs, like you go up and you go down, right? But really, deep breathing is from your stomach. So if you were to place one hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach and take a deep breath, you want to push your stomach out. So this hand, push it out as far as you can. And then on the breath in, push that hand back in on your belly. And that's deep breathing. And that breathing is actually what helps your body calm down. So if you were to do progressive muscle relaxation, which is where you tighten one part of your body for like 3 seconds and then you let go. and then you tighten the next part. And you either start from your toes and you go up, or you start from your head and you go down. But that with deep breathing from your stomach is just like chef's kiss. It's like the perfect way to focus your mind on that one thing, like Noah said, like tightening your muscles, but it also hits your body. And I guarantee you, like by the end of it, you're just gonna be like a completely different person than who you were before. But yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, before we start to wrap up here, I want to open up a whole other can of worms. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I am curious. I think we might have said this towards the beginning or talked about it, but you're a psych major, Logan, right? And I want to know, I mean, you did venture out, but how did you get involved with business in the first place again? Remind me if you guys already said this.
That's a good question. I don't know. I think honestly it was probably Girl Scouts, and I'm
Mm.
a really competitive person. I am just like a really sore loser. Okay, not all the time. Just like if I think that I'm really good at it and I'm losing really bad, I'm a pretty sore loser. Which is something that I can work on. But
That can
I
sometimes
think
be a strength, though.
yeah. And I think Girl Scouts, with the fact that I'm just very competitive, really was perfect for this opportunity.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, because I think what's really important, something we want to emphasize on the podcast is that, well, anyone can do entrepreneurship. Going along as Turner said earlier, Nike's slogan, just do it. Anyone can just do it. So I think it's important to realize that people of all different walks can do this stuff. I mean, I'm a computer science major and I'm starting to get involved in this stuff, and it's really interesting and fun, and there's tons of different things that you can learn that you wouldn't have learned otherwise. So yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I was gonna say, just on this podcast, we only have one business major. Daniel is management. I'm music. Wes is computer science.
Let's
Noah's gonna be
go.
a vet, and Logan is a psychology major. So, I mean, I think that's plenty of evidence. I completely agree, Wes. You definitely don't have to be a business major to own a business. So, well, very cool. So, Kefia Lemonade, where can we find y'all on Instagram? Do y'all have a website?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we have an Instagram. Uh, it's just Kefia, and then we have a little link tree on there. We have a website. We kind of use it for our vendors, but take a look. Logan did it. She made it all pretty. Uh, make it worth our money, please. Take a look.
Awesome. And obviously, since y'all do pop ups, it's not like we can easily just go online and order lemonade. But if you're in Abilene, watch out, check out their Instagram. I follow y'all and always see y'all posting, oh, we're going to be at the mill this weekend or whenever. So definitely go check them out if you're able to.
Logan and Noah, I have one last question. Um, if you guys could give one piece of advice to any entrepreneur your age trying to start something like what you started, what advice would you give them?
Hard-hitting question. You have to think about it. I would just say, don't be afraid to ask for help. I know Logan touched it a little bit about herself even, but it really is just that fear factor of like, I don't think I know what I'm doing. But we kind of saw that in our small business class where it's like, it's not just us that ever has this problem, right? People have had this problem for years now, and there's obviously people who know how to help you. You just actually have to take that step, take that leap to reach out for help. Because the great thing about ACU is people, they love to help. It's like anyone asks me any random question about animals, yeah, I will spend an hour with you talking about it. Uh, People are great resources. Our professors, the Griggs Center, even our own classmates, like Turner created that workshop, which is an amazing thing, right? There are people here to help you. You're never alone, so always reach out for help. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's great. And I completely agree with that. I would say, um, I would say fight the good fight. Be the underdog. Like being young is not a disadvantage whatsoever. And I think what drives me is the fact that we are younger and we got this awesome opportunity that most 19 or 20-year-olds don't get that opportunity. And here we are doing it and making it happen. And I know for some people that's really scary, which is so valid. I think for me, it's one of the things that drives me is the fact that I am this young business. Like I started a business at 19, 18. That's crazy. And I have the years that a lot of other business owners didn't have to start. And they did great from where they started at their age. But imagine if they had started when they were my age. And it just inspires me to kind of push myself and look at all of the greats and all the things they've done and be like, look at me, that could be me, and I'm starting that journey now.
That was exactly what I was trying to remember a couple minutes ago. I think we've said it every podcast. I mean, now is the time. We don't have kids. We're in college, and sure, we're taking 18, 20 hours, but we have time outside of classes and studying to do this. And so I 100% agree. Anyone listening, if you have that idea that you're passionate about, go do it. Noah and Logan have said it multiple times. Just start, and because if you never do it now, well, when you're 30 and have kids, you're not going to have the time. So just do it.
And I'll go back to that quote that I said a couple episodes ago, and it's that the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago, and the second best time is right now. And so I
Absolutely.
love that.
Mhm.
Wes, anything?
I got nothing to you to wrap it up.
All right. Well, let's just do one final. Just remind everyone, where can they follow you guys? One more time.
We have Instagram. It's just Kefia, Kefia Lemonade, and all of the rest of the socials are on the link tree.
That's awesome. All right, sweet. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you for everyone listening. Logan and Noah with Kefia Lemonade. Sorry I screwed up the name at the start. Kefia.
It's that
It's been
personal
great.
growth, right? We
The,
changed from the beginning to the end.
correct. Look at me. All right, great conversation, guys. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Everyone listening, go check them out. It's been great. Sweet.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Are we good?
Wrap.
Oh,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wrap it up.
right.
There we go.
All right.